Hello and welcome to the France 24 interview. As Greece scrambles to avoid bankruptcy and the rest of Europe seeks to avoid the contagion spreading, we consider today the euro and its future and whether indeed it has one at all, with my guest Michel Aglietta, who is an economist, a professor as well here in Paris, and the author of a book that has yet to be translated into English, but I will do it roughly, The Eurozone, Breakup or Federation, which considers exactly that question of what future the euro actually has. Thank you very much for being our guest today.
Thank you.
Is it possible that the euro is facing an existential threat? Is there actually a possibility that it could seek to exist?
Yes, there can be weak links in the relationship within Europe now, because the crisis had been worsening in the last 2 years. And so the main risk is about Greece, because many people think that what the Troika, that is the Commission, the IMF and the central banks are doing, because they have the mission of the Council of the government to do that, is not working. It's not working because as long as the austerity program is going on, the recession in Greece is worsening. And so with a recession very strong, because in Greece you have, if you accumulate for the last 3 years, we have about 12% reduction in GDP. That is a real depression. And so because of that, of course, the taxes, that is fiscal resources, are too low because they have shrunk with the recession. And so finally the Greek could not, of course, fulfill their commitment, but not because of their fault, because of what the constraints they are imposed upon them.
So they can't meet their commitments, their obligations. They're in discussions with lenders who may or may not agree to the haircut that's needed. They are facing renewed trouble from the street and an angry electorate. What solution is there? What can Greece possibly do at this stage to avoid bankruptcy?
So the insolvency of Greece should be recognized. It could still be recognized by an organized process, that is by the whole of Europe, imposing finally a haircut that is about 70% of the debt to all the private creditors, and even the discussion of some official creditors, should they also suffer some losses. And if this is done, what is very important for Greece in order to recover some growth rate that is really absolutely required, it would be a kind of plan Marshall we need. That is, Greece needs investment. And it doesn't need more debt in order to renew the whole debt. It needs investment from structural funds, from the funds of the European Commission and so on. Investment in order to increase its competitiveness in what are the comparative advantages, that is agriculture, that is tourism, and that is some small, medium enterprises.
There's that sort of solution that requires...
That is a positive solution. Huh?
Yeah, but a positive solution that requires a sort of political will and structure and coherence from the centre of Europe that we simply haven't seen so far. An alternative possibility is that Greece simply leaves the euro. What would that mean?
Yes, the alternative is that Greece makes a bet that they could go the way Argentina did. You have an Argentinian model that succeeded finally. It means that Greece declares bankruptcy. At the same time, and it should be really the same time, in the very short run, the same day, they introduce a new drachma. They introduce full capital controls in order to freeze all the accounts of deposits and of bonds that are denominated in Greece, even for the foreign creditors. there would be a devaluation of about 70–80% if it is the same as Argentina. So the losses should be recognized by this devaluation. The devaluation of all the claims that have been in euro and that are converted by force, finally, in drachma should be devalued 80% immediately. So the question is that with this situation, Greece would not get any more funds. So their current account balance, which is now about 8% of GDP, should come to zero immediately. So it means that imports would collapse in the beginning. That's the problem. Imports collapsing create about, if we consider what happened in Argentina, about 10–15% of reduction in GDP. But what happened in Argentina is that after 6 months, the inflation that comes with the big devaluation, this inflation stopped, and a very large competitiveness happened, and export really exploded. And with this explosion of export, growth resumed. And after that, the growth resumes, so you have more income, so you can invest, and so on. And finally, a kind of growth path resumed in Argentina. Could they do that? That is really the bet.
More broadly, leaving aside Greece and looking at the rest, we've got this risk of contagion in the rest of Europe. The future of the euro, it seems, hangs by a number of different threads, but amongst them, and principally, the ability of European leaders to come up with a plan that will fix long-term these issues and allow the currency to continue to exist. In essence, much greater federalism than anyone really has an appetite for.
Yes, we need an agenda with a sequencing from the short term to the long term. In the short term, with this type of shock we are just talking about, the ECB, European Central Bank, should absolutely fulfill completely its role of lender of last resort. Because if Greece leaves, there would be a very powerful contagion through the financial markets. And this contagion should be stopped. And only the central bank could do that. So that is the first. It means that it is a change in the doctrine of the monetary union, meaning that the central bank should have not only a function of keeping inflation rate at a low level, but also fulfilling its role as really the mentor of financial stability. That is the first thing. The second is a fiscal union.
Of the sort that's being promoted by Germany at the moment, or more?
No, part of it. That is what was. I don't think that what happened in December and confirmed on January 30 is completely wrong. What is good is that they consider that there should be some equilibrium in the fiscal affairs, that is some equilibrium in the current account, the budget account. That is no deficit that could be permitted, that could drift for a long time. So it is a what they call a structural equilibrium. A structural equilibrium means an equilibrium through the cycle, that is considering the medium run, and an equilibrium that permits deficit in period of low ebb of the cycle, but the country should commit to make surpluses when the situation recovers, in order for the medium-term situation, that is the trend, that should be in equilibrium. That is very interesting because it obliges the government to have a forward view.
Yes, and that brings us exactly to one of the main problems, which is that politically, no national parliaments, no national governments in Europe today are going to accept the sort of loss of sovereignty that the kind of political union that you're suggesting needs.
It is a sharing of sovereignty because it means that the government should, they call it European semesters. That is the process of making the budget, the yearly budget, should be a two-way process. That is, all the governments announce their plan for 5 years ahead. But only for the aggregates of the budget, the expenditures, receipts, and the balance. They are combined at the European level, analyzed by the Commission, examined by the Parliament, and there were by the Council of Ministers finally arbitrage. And what is really loss of sovereignty is that the result of those arbitrage are compulsory for the parliament of the countries in order to make the detailed budget, that is the yearly budget. And so that is not an abandonment of sovereignty, but it's a sharing of sovereignty. And that is really what is really a budget union.
And something no doubt we'll have the opportunity, I hope, to discuss again with you over the coming months as Europe heads in that direction. Michel Aglietta, thanks ever so much for having been our guest on today's interview. That brings us to the end of the France 24 interview for today. We'll be back, though, very soon for another. Do stay with us.